I'm surprised I didn't see maggots. Like, it was just, probably were. I don't remember. It was flies. And I was like, what in the world? And I remember coming out of there, and I remember seeing this white man coming in and then going to another door on the other side. And I vaguely remember either he asked where the restroom was or the sign said restroom, and I didn't see that when I came in. And I was like, oh, okay. And so then I was like, okay, it's time to go. My mom was like, it's getting dark. Yeah, we gotta go. But she never actually like said Sundown Towns. But I understood, okay, there are places where we can and cannot go. And so that brings me to me now being here in Columbus, Ohio. And generally growing up understanding that the North was supposed to be like nicer and better. But also having an understanding as I got older and like read and stuff that, the North is just really, the South, it just looks a little different. It just looks a little different, but it is not, no. So what I remember, there's these two towns, one called Upper Arlington and one called Bexley. And some would categorize them as suburbs, but they're really not suburbs, because suburb means suburban, like right outside the urban center. But these are both technically urban. So, but they're known to be majority white. Me and some colleagues and I will often go to this one grocery store in Upper Arlington, and it had a second floor where you can sit and do homework and stuff. So we would, so some of my colleagues and I would go over there to do work. It was quiet, you get something to eat, things like that. Well, one time, or a few times when they went and I wasn't there, they would leave the grocery store, that it stayed open. Like, I want to say it was 24 hours, but it stayed open pretty late. A local police officer would always follow them to the edge of the town. There's like a stopping port. I want to say it's like Lane Avenue and Kenny. I'm not sure what it is. But every time, which is very similar to the way the scene happened in Lovecraft. Not as dangerous, but the premise is the same. And it's not completely ironic that now Upper Arlington is doing some work around race, but I'm not sure they quite realize the systems that are in place within that neighborhood that essentially let people, not everybody, but some people of color know, I can't speak for everybody, let them know that they're not necessarily welcome there. The other town or area is called Bexley, which is interesting because one of the things it's known for is being a Jewish community. And there was a time, of course, when it was written into deeds that people who were Jewish and Black could not purchase a home, believing it'll bring down the property value. Well, many Jewish people were able to kind of get past that. Arguably, it had a lot to do with whiteness, but yet they were able to do that. What I find very interesting is a few things. One, I feel like sometimes people don't recognize the power of whiteness, even if you have some other factors that marginalize you. I imagine if you had Arab or Black Jews who wanted to buy houses there, they wouldn't be a part of that that barrier breaking that happened. But also the ways in which folks in that community still did not allow Catholicism to be there. So you don't have a Catholic church in the actual Bexley vicinity. And that was also a deed rule that you couldn't sell to a Catholic, which is interesting, right? Also, of course, I don't know of any folks who identify as Jewish in Bexley who were advocating at that early time. So redlining being the 1930s-ish, and I'm not quite sure when Jewish folks in Bexley began to break that barrier, but I'm not sure if they were advocating for black people to purchase houses. But nevertheless, I heard a story from one of my workshops that this woman who lives in Bexley has a person come to help her clean her house, and she's a woman of color. I'm not quite sure if she's black, but she's not white. And this woman, almost every time she would come to be and go to this woman in Bexley's house, she would get stopped by the Bexley police for nothing. She's not speeding. They would just always pull her over. And so she kept being late. Well, the woman who was employing her just kept asking why she kept being late, and then the woman told her. Well, so the woman who was hiring this other woman of color called the Bexley police and was like, hey, she keeps getting pulled over. What's that about? And so the Bexley police apparently told her, well, just tell your employee to just call us to let us know when she's coming in and when she's leaving, and her license plate number, so we know not to pull her over. What? And I can't tell you how many people that I know who always get pulled over, black people, who always get pulled over by Bexley police. They're not doing anything. They're just asking where they are. And so, I just want us to be thinking about the ways in which sundown towns, although we formerly don't have them anymore, they still exist. And I'm interested in knowing if you all know of any sundown towns, or the ways in which people and police create this type of surveillance of people of color under this guise of safety. But are we asking really safety for whom? Because if you want to keep me safe, I feel like you'd act differently. So make yourself known in the comments so we can continue this conversation, so you can help me process how and why we still have sundown towns, and what are we doing, each of us, in our spheres of influence to not have them anymore. See you next week.